Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
I'm Owen Cosner, or Owen's Bricks on YouTube and Instagram, and this is my capital of Ryloth mock. So this is based off the Clone Wars animated series. So this is the capital of Ryloth. You have Mace Windu, who is leading the Republic forces who are working with the Freedom Fighters of Ryloth, which are led by Cham Syndulla. And they are trying to take the capital, which is the last part of Ryloth that they need to take. And so they're riding in on the Freedom Fighters. Give me a second. So the Freedom Fighters, they're riding in on their blurgs, and they're coming in working with the clone troopers, and they're just trying to take over the capital, which, yeah.
No, it's really nice seeing here, especially the textures in the landscaping compared to the gray wall. So let's start with the landscaping. Why don't you talk about some of the colors you used there and just how detailed you made that?
Yeah, so the colors, that was one of the priority focuses I had when working on this mock. So for like the grass area, I wanted to use olive green and sand green. I thought they worked well together. And for like all the dirt and rock areas, I wanted to use a gradient of dark tan, medium nougat, and dark orange. So like the dark tan would only be touching the medium nougat, like the dark orange would only be touching the medium nougat, basically. And that was kind of the idea behind the colors of the terrain area.
Yeah. And then this bridge is very eye-catching, the way it sticks out there. So how do you support that and get all those translucent pieces together?
Yeah, so those large translucent blue bricks, those are just stacked onto each other, and it's just held up by some clear supports. I would have liked to do the entire bridge. Unfortunately, that was a limitation of time and money, so I did want to include a little area of it. I lighted it up using some of those official LEGO lights that they released a couple years back. So I wanted to make sure that I included that because that was a pretty iconic part of this episode. There's a whole scene about them needing to sneaking into the capital to turn on the bridge so the rest of the forces could cross.
And then moving beyond the battle to the gray wall section, there's so much happening there with the curves. How did you kind of first tackle that project? Where do you start there?
Yeah, so I definitely took a lot of inspiration from the build I did last year, which was an Umbara build, which I did an entire dome. So I used a lot of similar techniques, but I had to sort of adapt it a little differently because it is a bit of a different kind of curved shape than the last one. So I ended up making use of a lot of kind of hinges. I made the panels larger than like the Umbara build, and it needed to kind of meld well with the rest of the capital wall. So I used a lot of wedge plates and slopes to kind of get it to all merge together, kind of seamlessly as I could.
And then what are some of the minifigure scenes we have around there?
Yeah, so at the very top left, we have some clones, shirtless clones. I included those in my Umbara build as well. Just an Easter egg that I want to try to include in all my mocks. They're just chilling, watching the battle and eating some pizza, wings. And then we have over in the middle some of these STAP speeders, which are these droid speeders, and they're kind of flying in to try to ambush the rest of the troops from the sky. And on the far right, we have some clones who are trying to scale the walls of the capital. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like they're being very successful, as there's some droids at the top that are shooting down at them.
And you included the yellow lights, which is interesting. How did you incorporate that into the wall?
Yeah, so that was, again, something that I saw on the episode that I knew I really wanted to include. And I looked at the Bad Batch animated show because we revisit the capital in that show. So I was like, and there's one scene where it's night and you can see it all lit up. And I was like, that'd be really cool. I haven't really done lights too much in my large scale mocks before, so I really wanted to do it. So each individual light is like two of these 1x3 arch pieces that are facing each other. And then there's a translucent yellow tile. And in the back, there's also some Light My Bricks lights that I'm using to get that lighting effect.
And what about these two kind of like the pylon sections sticking out from the wall, and there's interesting curves there. What pieces did you use?
Yeah, so that part of the wall, I have no idea what it's supposed to be, but I knew I really wanted to capture it because it's such an interesting look. So the main thing I'm using is flex tube, so that in the inside it's just kind of running the main thing, just like two pieces of flex tube, two long pieces, and each of the little subsections have a clip on them and some brackets and some 1x2 panels, and they each attach individually along the wedge plates that are on either side.
Coming back to the battle scene here, what are some of the individual minifigs and characters you've got included and some of the different scenes you've got in there?
Yeah, so I have Mace Windu, who is leading the charge. I got a light up lightsaber for him, first time using that. There is his clone commander, Commander Pons. He's hitting a battle droid with his rifle. There's some of the freedom fighters, and then obviously the clone troopers, and the AT-RTs, the walkers. They have all the ARF troopers who are piloting them. And on the droid side, we have a group come in from the left, a group of commando droids leading the charge with the AAT tank, and they're kind of coming in from the side to kind of ambush them. In the middle, there's the main forces of droids with a bunch of regular battle droids and super battle droids. And on the right, there's a couple of droidicas and super battle droids that are coming in from the right side to flank them.
What is the process of bringing this to a show like BrickFair and setting it up?
Okay, well, the main thing is each base plate does come apart individually. So I took all those apart and put them in boxes. But the Capitol was definitely more tricky. All of the wall segments come apart individually into like 5 or 6 parts on either side. And the main kind of tower, each of the panels detached from a sort of Technic endoskeleton that I transport separately.
And I know you've got some interior stuff in there, so let's go around and take a look from the back real quick.
So in this scene, I sort of wanted to replicate one of the scenes that we see in the episode, except for it's supposed to take place on a landing pad behind the Capitol walls, but obviously I couldn't do that. That would have been too much. So I included this sort of treasure room, because in the episode you see Wat Tambor, who is trying to escape with all the treasure that he's stolen from the civilians. So I thought, okay, I could build a little treasure room. There's some Easter eggs in there, especially the Ark of the Covenant, which you see in this episode as an Easter egg to Indiana Jones. And I knew I wanted to include that. You have some battle droids there carrying that out.
And then what do we have on this side?
On this side, so a couple of the battle droids have fallen over, but this is a prison block that we actually see in the Bad Batch episode that I was talking about. And I had the figures of the members of Delta Squad from the Republic Commando video game, because I love that video game, my favorite Star Wars game. I needed to include an Easter egg to that. So they're going there, and I was like, okay, well, they would probably have some clone prisoners, because they would probably be making use of these prisons. So I have some clone prisoners that are being rescued by Delta Squad.
And this is also a really neat way to see some of the build techniques you've done here, kind of behind the magic. So point out some of these structures if you can, and kind of how you support the build.
Yeah, so obviously you can see the main kind of structure of the main tower. There's a lot of Technic being used, and basically I have some main beams going up, and then I have individual kind of sections that are at an angle using hinge plates, and then the panels attached using Technic bricks and Technic pins, and then like the side panels are just kind of angled using some hinge bricks.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see behind the scenes, and then just kind of how the whole build comes together. So thank you for bringing this out to BrickFair. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the interview.